Right, following on from all the previous videos, now we're going to go through 2007. This is where things started to change, but also some of them fucking maddest things, you know, behind the scenes also happened. So, yeah, let's go on with it. First, January 2007 issue. Straight away, mad car, legendary car, probably almost forgotten about by some people now. That's the Dialback Racing Mark IV Golf. It might have looked kind of like a wide arch Mark IV Golf, but it had a complete Audi Quattro 20 valve 5-cylinder engine and transmission, making over 1,000 horsepower, and it was fucking nuts. So let's have a look at that first. I didn't do this feature, which, safe to say, I wish I did. Tim and Dav went over there to do this one, and they also got a ride in the car, which from what I understand was something to kind of never be forgot either. But this car's proper bonkers. This is the underside, and yeah, it's serious. Not much that is original Mark IV Golf under that's for sure. The thing is a serious bit of kit. It's more, well, as I said, it's more Audi Quattro than anything else. But to be honest, it's more Audi Quattro Group B rally car than anything else. It's not like a normal Audi Quattro, that's for sure. It's an absolute weapon. This is in the news section. Not the most flattering picture of me, to say the fucking least, but I can't really say it's that inaccurate. What's going on in Stav's brain? I don't know who wrote this, but they weren't far from the truth. Promo girl stroke model shagging plans. What random rear-wheel drive shitbox shall I buy next? Other girl, probably teenage, shagging plans. What car shall I try and fix next? Do I want chili sauce for that? Well, that last one's not strictly true, because I don't like chili sauce or anything. But because I'm, you know, because of the Greek heritage, everything's got to be something to do with kebabs. But yeah, to be fair, and that's 35 and 34%, which is the those two. So I'm not exactly denying that's pretty accurate. But let's yeah, I don't really like chili sauce. Shit like this though reminds me of how much fun working on that mag was. Duke Racing R33 GTR, which was a full-on drag car with like an air shift box and everything. And yeah, it was fast. I mean, it was a Japanese car just brought into the UK, so no one can really take much credit in the UK for it being fast, but it was fast. It was doing, well, high 8s at over 160, so it's not shy. Although these days, this is pretty slow, and I'm pretty sure it ran faster than that when it was in Japan. But yeah, this was fast as fuck back then. This was a dry sump, full slicks, air shift box. You know, it was a race car. There's no getting away from that. Next issue, and one of the best classic Subarus ever built, in my opinion. The Roger Clark and Pretzer. This is another feature I did. We did it inside a studio for this one because the car's that fucking good. It deserved a studio shoot. I called it Masterpiece, but it really was fucking unreal, this car. I mean, it was a ridiculously fast time attack car, but the whole build was just like, I mean, look at it. It's not some crazy aeroed up, winged up thing. It did look like it should look, but it was so fast. mental clean, like stunning carbon wheels, lots of power, the correct engine. But the whole thing was just, wow, immaculate, proper race car. No sort of, no stone unturned at all. It was, everything was fucking perfect. And despite being a time attack car, not built for a straight line at all, it still ran 9-second quarter miles on the couple of occasions when they actually tried. And that was on an unprepped surface as well. I think that was just a 10 of the best. So a concrete runway. And like, yeah, high 9s it ran. Weapon. Jackfest 2 at Donington Park. I honestly can't be 100% if what I'm about to talk about was this event. I don't remember fuck all about this event. But it definitely was something that happened in 2007 at Donny. So I may as well tell you the story for this, because the fact I don't remember this event probably says it might have been this one. But there was a bunch of people who we met because one of them owned a car we featured in the magazine, and we kind of all became friends. And they were, without putting a finer point on it, dodgy as fuck criminals. But they was criminals in the most fun way possible. They had loads of money, they was fun, and they were just fucking mental. One time we was all going to a show at Donny. It was probably this one, but I might be wrong, but it was one of these shows. And we decided to go out the night before in Nottingham, and we went out with those guys. Well, not all of us did. I think me, Pasty and Bigsy did. And there was, well, they were friends, but I don't know if you'd call them fucking co-workers or fucking, I don't know, gang members. I'm not sure what the fuck they were. But one was called Abe. One, I can't remember his name, but he was this massive mouthy geezer. And one was called Russian, who I'm pretty sure was Russian. And all I remember about him was he had a skinhead and a massive scar across his face. He looked like, yeah, he did look like just a typical Russian gangster. And, yeah, they didn't fuck about them lot. They were proper, real deal, not like wannabes. And, yeah, we went out, and we all went out with them, and they literally had drugs on tap, really. I mean, mostly that, the guy called Russian, he didn't drink. He only drank milk. He never drank alcohol. He just drank milk and did drugs. And to be honest, it's mostly MDMA pills and ecstasy, whatever you want to call it. And me and Pasty was obviously right on it. And Bigsy, he was on it too, but I don't even think he'd ever done anything before, although he wouldn't admit it, because once we was, after about half hour or so, it obviously proper kicked in with him, and he was just having a bit of a mare and like, oh, I'm burning up and all this kind of shit. But me and Pastor was so mashed, we didn't care. And then he just disappeared. I remember us saying to each other a few times, oh, I wonder what's happened to Bigsy. And it's like, maybe is he alright? I wonder if he's dead or something. And we both kind of was like, well, we can't do anything about it now, so fuck it. And then even when we got back to the hotel at like 4 or 5 in the morning, he was meant to be sharing a room with us and he wasn't there. And we was like, oh, I wonder if he's dead or what. But again, we just went to bed. So turns out he wasn't. He was fine. He just went back to the hotel and stayed in someone else's room. Just monged out there. But yeah, the car world was, well, the car magazine world and car show world was massively infested with drugs. Well, partying really, which obviously that means quite a bit of drugs were going around. And yeah, this was one night where, yeah, it was funny. Yeah, February 2007 issue, and it looks like my S13 was all painted up now. So that Chinese body kit, no doubt, well, it is out on with cable ties, but yeah, work equips, and yeah, just generally looking pretty badass. I really like the look of that now. It's aged well. I liked it then, but I think it looks even better now I've seen it. Well impressed with that. That these days would be worth a bloody fortune too, because S13 money is crazy. So, oh well, can't go back in time. This is March 2007, and another full-on drag R33 GTR. This time the Sumo Power one, and this time, unlike the last one, this one was fully built in the UK, like from scratch. And yeah, it was a serious bit of kit. It's a funny car, this, because they knew drag racing was far more than outright power. This car wasn't all about the engine. Yeah, it had a mental engine, but the spec it was, you know, at the beginning when this, you know, feature was done, it was only about 700 brake, because it was basically, this was a test figure to get all the suspension and everything dialed in and get it everything 100%. I mean, it had unbelievable amount of data logging. But no, this is March 2007 issue, so this was featured probably January, February we shot this. I remember it was bloody cold at Santa Pod, and my feet were still sickened to the surface even though it was wet because of the prep track. But yeah, it had data logging everywhere, so it could measure individual you know, suspension arm travels, everything, so they knew exactly what was going on to basically dial it in better and better and better. You know, air shift box and all that, so it was, you know, not exactly anything that could be driven on the road. There was no reverse. I think, well, there's nowhere shifting down. It's up, 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 and then neutral. Yeah, but it was super, super light. I mean, it says here it was weighed less than a Citroen C2. It was proper car. Unfortunately, it was never really fully developed to its full potential. It never got that much use. It still exists now, and he still owns it, but it just never got the, I don't know, I think he got a bit sort of bored of drag racing and didn't actually do much with it in the end. But it is a proper car, and properly just a serious bit of kit, even now. This issue was memorable for me in a few different ways, two of the cars especially, so let me explain. This is the first memorable one for me, not this feature as such, because I didn't go on this feature. Dav did this one, but the owner is quite famous. You can Google his name and you can you find out quite a bit about him. But he's yeah, even back then, you kind of knew he wasn't your ordinary guy. And yeah, the car's a weapon, built by RC Developments, and it was meant to be like stupid power. I can't remember, 700 odd brake. I was at Brunters when we timed this car, and it blew up at the end of the day. And the owner, being who he is, rang up the tuning company who built it for him, and it was only just built and everything for him as well. And he was going fucking mental. He was basically, I'm gonna fucking come down there now and fucking drive this car through your window and burn your place down and burn the whole company down and fucking kill everybody and, you know, whatever. And he's the kind of person that would fucking do it as well. And yeah, he was going mental, literally threatening to burn the company down. They went out of business not long after and sort of did a runner. How related to this it was, I don't know. But yeah, he went fucking nuts, and we was all standing there like, okay, right then, hello. And yeah, it was just like standing in the middle of Brunton, freezing cold, and it was getting dark. It was sort of late in the year. And yeah, we were just standing there while he went absolutely fucking bananas on the phone at the tuning company. When his Escort, love this thing, proper sleeper, looks just like a normal Mark III Escort, AA and RAC badges on the front. But it was like well, in this spec, it was like 450 plus horsepower, 4-wheel drive, Cosy power, and obviously weighed bugger all. Yeah, Cosy engine in what looks like an old lady's Mark III. It used to look even more sleeper than this. Before this shoot, it had steel wheels and everything. And now, you know, I ended up with like a chrome half cage in it by now, but it's still mega sleeper. But it used to be even more so. But yeah, Wenny and all his lot are a great crack as well. They are some funny fuckers. But you'll see more of them in a later issue, actually. We did something different with them at some point. You'll see that in a bit. And this is the fastest car I've ever driven. It's an RX-7 that had done 9.1 at 160 mile an hour in the quarter. It revved to 11,500 RPM and 2.2 bar boost. And he let me drive it. This is the Dragon performance demo car, their drag car. And I'd known Ross for years by now. And he knew I could, you know, I weren't a shit driver, I could handle a quick car. So when we came to shoot this, he literally filled it out with race fuel, gave me the keys, and basically, honest to God, said, give me a ring when you run out of fuel. And that was it. And we was off on the road driving this bloody thing. Yeah. Not strictly normal road tyres. But yeah, this thing's absolutely mental. I've never driven a car even, wow. I think I only managed to take it to, I think I probably got to about 9,500 RPM. I don't think I dared go faster than that because I couldn't even see as fast as it was moving. You know, like when you play like an old computer game or something on a slow computer and the frame rate can't keep up, you know, and it goes like, it jumps forward, it's all blocky. That's like my fucking eyes were driving this thing at full acceleration. Absolutely never known anything like it. But yeah, it's fucking incredible. Absolutely amazing car. Love it. I love rotaries, but this thing was fucking unreal. Even got stopped by the police at one point, and I thought, I'm in trouble now. Because number plates or not, it's not exactly the most road legal car in the world. And all he wanted to do was have a nosy at the car because it was so mental. And then, yeah, I finally did run out of fuel, so I gave him a call. And Ross turned up and he's like, oh, right, you know, put some more fuel in. And he's like, oh, so what do you want to do now? He's like, do you want, you know, should we drift it? And he was literally on country lanes, dirt dropping, and, you know, not even just normally drifting, but properly getting it onto the dirt dropping, a fucking 9-second, 1,000-odd brake drag car. Absolute mental. That was the interior. Literally a cage and one seat. More drifting. But the crazy thing is, and well, shows how fucking stupid I am too, but you know, I think you've probably seen from all these previous videos, I wasn't exactly the most sensible person in the world. Ross said, oh, do you want to come for a passenger ride? And I just sat on the floor in this car as he took me out as a passenger, and we went fast. Literally, at one point, we hit like, cause it's 9,500 RPM, and suddenly the wheels span. What, you know, suddenly at 9.5 grand and 2.4 bar boost, whatever it was, and we was already in like, I think it was probably in 4th gear. We was going big speeds, and it properly fishtailed, like, and there was big high grass banks both sides of the road, and if we'd have went up either of them, I'm pretty certain I'd be dead. But he got it under control and just, you know, casually said, oh, you know, at 9,500 RPM on the drag strip, you can really, you know, make the most of that surge and extra power. But on the road, it just wheel spins. It's like, fucking, you're telling me. But yeah, this thing's a weapon. I mean, yeah. 160 mile an hour terminal speed says it all, really. It's that's fucking going some. That's the engine. Still 13B, no extra rotors here, but 160 terminal, so Says it all. Next issue on one of our new sort of demo cars. It's kind of demo, well, kind of ours, appeared. And that was this Toyota Yaris. It was a Yaris with a mid-engined rear-wheel drive Toyota 3S GTE, as in Celica GT4, MR2 Turbo, whatever, power plant. It was kind of sponsored, owned, whatever you want to call it, by Marangoni Tyres as a bit of a publicity for them. But we kind of built it and then featured it. And I must admit, it was quick, but it was also a fucking piece of shit death trap. I drove it quite a lot, more than most people on the magazine did, I think, and certainly harder than most people did, and it was pretty bad. Yeah, MR2 turbo engine. It was only making 318 brake, it says, because it was like a Gen 2 or whatever, Rev 2, and it was still on standard management, so it couldn't be really mapped to anything much. But it was more to it than that. This is the engine. I remember one time driving it, going down the M5, and it blew its head gasket. It just suddenly overheated and blew up on me. And the reason was the company that built it did the cooling system a bit shit. And yeah, it got an airlock in the cooling system because there was no real, I think it had the radiator at the front, but it had no real way to get any kind of air bubbles that was stuck at the top of the rad back to the header tank, so it got an airlock and overheated and died. Another thing about it was, I can't remember exactly how it was built, but I got the feeling it wasn't like MR2 turbo at the back or MR2 at all. It was like the front end of something. So I think the steering was just locked off or something. I can't remember. What I do remember though is, I think after, when it come back from being modified and fixed and whatever, after that time where it blew its head gasket, it was much quicker then as well. I can't remember the power. I think it was after this feature. And I basically was on the M6 nighttime, and it was always a bit sketchy, so I got in the middle lane before I did anything, and then I nailed it, and I got to like 140 pretty fast. But then when I let off, even though it was a dead straight line, the whole back end just was not wanting to go straight. It was pretty much fishtailing while not under power for fucking some distance. And if it weren't for the fact that and I mean, I knew from drifting and just how this piece of shit car was, you didn't want to fight it either. You just kind of be gentle with the corrections and just let it settle itself down. But yeah, it was, if there was a lot of traffic around, or if it was a narrow road, it would have just been a big crash. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like a Corolla. Yeah, it was the front of a Corolla welded into the back of the Yaris. And yeah, if I would have fucking done it, it would have been an MR2 back into the back of the Yaris. But this handled pretty bad, and I reckon it was to do with it being a front end, but I might be wrong. But yeah, the car, once it had left us and Marangoni got it back, didn't really see it again, but it was fun while it lasted. It honestly had Tech Art Porsche wheels on it too, which is pretty mental. And yeah, it was, 2 seats, 2 buckets. Honestly, if the car was set up properly, so it was more like an MR2 but in a Yaris body, it'd have been amazing. But it was just fucking, it didn't handle at all. It did not handle, and that kind of let it down. Keith Cowers Skyline R32, and this is 2007 again, remember. This thing was fucking bonkers, and even today it's pretty much unreal. You'll have to do the comparison, but look at these times. And again, this was on an unprepped surface. But yeah, 0 to 60 is fair enough, 2.5 seconds. but then 0 to 100, 4.3. So it's gone from 60 to 100 in less than 2 seconds. Like, and then, yeah, 150 in 8 seconds dead from 0. And 200 in 14.7 seconds. 0 to 200 mile an hour in 14 seconds. Did the standing half mile at 198 in the half mile. This thing was a fucking monster. Doesn't exist anymore, I don't think, but bloody hell, absolute weapon. I mean, yeah, 14 seconds to 200 and 198 in the half mile. Final thing for this issue is 10 of the best. Not because of the event. I mean, the event was always decent, but the stories, well, there's 2 stories for this event that I'm about to tell you. Same, one was from the night before the event, one was during the event, and yeah, they're pretty fucked up in a good way. Before the event, we stayed in a on-site, which is an airfield in the middle of nowhere in Yorkshire, in a like a big Winnebago, like a big camper van type RV, whatever you want to call it. Really, really posh one, like mega bucks, like a posh hotel inside. Anyway, the people we stayed with, they enjoyed their drugs. Let's put it that way. They also enjoyed, well, everything. And honest to God, I have never, ever in my life seen, well, you know, like on Tony Montana on Scarface, where he's got literally piles of coke. I wouldn't say there was much less than a fucking kilo there, and it was just like, do what you want with it. And literally handing out like bottles of champagne each. You know, everyone was just drinking champagne like it was fucking water, just straight out of the bottle, and just fucking everything. In fact, I remember the one guy had a car literally full of like champagne and stuff, and he's like, actually, I don't like champagne, I like white wine spritzers. So me and him went on the hunt for an offie, so we could buy some ice and some shit to make himself white wine spritzers. I don't know why I remember that, but I do, just because it was bizarre. You know, I've been around fucking drugs like everyone has, but I've never seen that amount just being, you know, casually used in my fucking life. And yeah, at one point they decided they wanted some fucking hookers, and they was spending quite a lot of money trying to and willing to pay mega bucks to get a load of bloody escorts, like big money escorts, over to the Winnebago in this airfield. But because of the location, nobody would come. I mean, it was talking like fucking Friday night at gone midnight in this airfield in the middle of nowhere in Yorkshire. The next day, all I remember was in the morning we was all fucking hanging, as you might expect. And they'd had him here before, but they had Tim Westwood come here again to like do something, make an appearance. And he was using, they kind of allowed him to use our Winnebago as sort of a, you know, a stop-off point, a resting point. But we was all still in there absolutely fucking hanging. So when he came in, he was all, you know, hi guys, and being all chatty and nice. And we was so fucked, we pretty much ignored him. And I remember after a bit feeling a bit rude, because like he was really trying to be friendly, and we was just like, just couldn't give a fuck and ignoring him. And it's like been a bit cuntish really, but we, not because we were wankers, but just because we were so bad. It was just like, we just didn't want to speak to anybody. Another mad thing about this show, and this is something, I wouldn't say it's good, but it's fucking eye-opening. Some people who friendly with, who were very dodgy, they were there, and some other people who we wasn't friendly with from another part of the country who were equally dodgy were also there. And the ones we knew started taking a piss out of one of the ones from this other lot, who calling him Vicky Pollard and stuff. And to be fair, he did look like Vicky Pollard. He had a fucking like velour tracksuit on and everything. And it all started kicking off. And these guys had one of their cars on our show stand, the guys we were friendly with. And they were all like, and honest to God, the one guy goes, hold on a minute, I'm going to go and get the shooter. And literally, he went to the glove box of this car and got out a fucking gun. It obviously, it never got fired, but literally, I was with him. And he went over to the fucking car, opened the door, opened the glove box, got out a fucking handgun and put it in his pocket. But legit, that honestly happened. And not many people saw it, but I think 2-3 of us did at least. And anyone that knows these guys knows they're for fucking real anyway. They had a very strange setup where they kind of worked for the one guy, but I remember never forgetting asking one how much he got paid or something, or when they got paid or whatever, and he goes, oh, we don't get paid, but if we want something, be it like an Evo or a house or some clothes or a telly or whatever, we just ask them and they give us some money, or they buy it us. Very strange, but mental. Some very unforgettable people. And yeah, there was guns once at 10 of the best. Yeah, this is why I got rid of my Skyline GTR, because I ended up buying this, a JZX81 Toyota Chaser, a JZX81 Toyota Chaser from Japan with an RB26 lump in it. And this was late 2007, once I got it here anyway. And honest to God, the car cost me £3,500 delivered. That is cheap as fuck. I mean, it had like a big win body kit with the wider front arches as well. It was in very good nick. It had well, I had loads of stuff. It had, like I said, RB26 engine with minor mods. It had a OS Gicken 2-way diff. I didn't even realise that, but I'm just reading the specs now. I forgot all about this, but I had JZX 100 rear end, like rear beam and suspension arms and everything. Bilstein coilovers. Adjustable everything at the back, mostly by Driving Sports. Yeah, it was a fucking weapon. It was like a sparkly metal flake blue, not great paint. This was Japan. Car I shouldn't have sold really, but you know, I did. But I kept it quite a while and beat the shit out of it. Spec his car. Yeah, fucking Tigra, like literally the shittest thing. You know, not anything you'd imagine as a performance car, but they're light and they're aerodynamic, so they can be made pretty fucking fast. And spec his one was rapid. It wasn't even at this era that crazy a spec. It was, don't get me wrong, it was fast. I mean, we timed it and it hit 163, but that was on the rev limiter in top. You know, that wasn't because that's all it could do. But a great example was the 60 to 100 time. It was sub 4 seconds, 3.9, even in this old spec. This is only with a GT30 turbo fitted to it, nothing massive. And it was fucking fast, really did move. But it got way more powerful than this in the future, which I'm pretty sure I'll be able to show you in later mags. I must admit, I was really, really against this cover feature, because A, I didn't think the car was that great, and B, this cover hit is bullshit. Basically, how many estates can do 195, and you think, well, fucking hell, it's going to be mental. But it's not. It's basically an E55 AMG compressor, which does, you know, they can do massive speeds anyway, once delimited, even standard. And all it's got is sort of a smaller pulley and a remap and whatever. So, yeah, it can do 195 on the Autobahn, but so can millions of other E55 AMGs of the same spec, even back then. It wasn't groundbreaking. This one had lots of bodywork done to it. You know, it had a CLS front end fitted. But making a big deal about the 195, it's like, it's not a big deal. This was a funny one. This guy was emailing us for, a long time. Maybe a year, I can't remember. Well, wanting to be invited to one of our Bruntingthorpe thrashes where we timed the cars. He was claiming 400 brake from a Peugeot 306 GTI 6 with a supercharged engine. And at the time, GTI 6 engines weren't really, weren't really tuned, and supercharged, no, they weren't making power like they do these days. So I kind of thought it was bullshit. And, and in the end, well, we sort of kept yeah, maybe one day. And then in the end, we invited him just to be like, wow, fuck it. If he's blagging, if he's lying, let's just say he's lying, It's his hard luck. It turns out, looking pretty standard wheels, it had normal road tyres on it, not even semi-slicks, none of that. And I tell you what, this car is a fucking weapon. Like, I'm not impressed by many things. In fact, it says it here, look. It takes a lot to impress Stavros, but even he was amazed by a supercharged Pug 306. It wasn't like the fastest thing on the planet, but the power delivery was, considering it had not grippy tyres, it had normal skinny road tyres. And because of the power delivery, he could nail it out of tight corners in second. And it had full grip still. It was, the centrifugal supercharger made it have the best fucking power delivery. And yes, it only hit 160, but that's not only, because it's a fucking Peugeot 306. But it's how soon it hit 160. Genuinely, it hit it by about, well, there's the crest at Brunters, which is kind of half track. Just going over the crest, it hit the rev limiter and top already. I mean, it fucked off through the gears very quickly. The way it accelerated is fucking very, very impressive for skinny standard road tyres. Front wheel drive is normally known for loads of wheel spin. This thing just fucked off. It was just great. And it just looks like a stock 306. Obviously not under the bonnet it doesn't, but even under the bonnet you wouldn't really. Here's another bloody fast car, and a fair play to him again. Bearing in mind, Integrales are, these days are sort of classic cars that are hidden away in barns and just took to shows and stuff. This guy tuned the shit out of this thing and used the shit out of it too. I mean, and it was fast. It was very fast, very light, totally stripped out. And yeah, it was like 60 to 100 in sub 4 seconds. It ran like an 11.0 quarter at 10 of the best on normal skinny road tyres and a concrete unprepped surface. Once he come to one of our shows, I think it was Tracks, he come to Tracks, and this is a commitment for it. He fucking was using it hard even at Tracks, blew the gearbox up, and on the show stand replaced the fucking gearbox. Literally, with all the show goers and everything, they had it, jacked it up and took the fucking gearbox out and fixed the gearbox or replaced it or whatever at the show. It's like fair play. And obviously, Martini liveried Integrale Evo is badass, no matter what. Here's a funny one. This car is the Angry Pirate. Dan Joyce from Dirty Sanchez, as in the MTV show, which was obviously a big deal at this time, 2007. This was his S13 drift car with an S15 front end. I did this feature as well. We did it down at Bude at the seaside, and yeah, it was a very funny day. Because, well, anything with Joyce is a funny day, but it was a fun day. We literally shot the car on the beach. Dan Joyce, occupation, TV mentalist, that's about right. And yeah, it was a quick car. But I've got some other pictures of this day. But yeah, he's properly mental. Had a Skyline engine in it, RB25, fairly stock, but still. And that is a pair of knickers on the air filter, by the way. I think they were I might be wrong, but they might have been Paul's sister's knickers. I think he nicked them from their house at the start of the day. I can't remember, something weird like that. As it was 2007, we still had many cars that were pure shit. I haven't really been talking about many cars or anything in this video I had nothing to do with, but I got to show you this. RX-7 FD. I think it had a big T88 turbo on it and everything, but like big fucking awful 20-inch chrome wheels, Lambo doors. Just, I mean, look. Allegedly it was a T88, that's what he claimed it was, but that ain't no T88. Something else, it's way smaller, but it was fucking terrible. Look at the boot. Now it kind of is almost, some people might think it looks cool in a ironic way these days, but back then that was just, to me, that was just pure shit. Well, it still is. Yeah, genuinely, Matt went down the STD clinic, and yeah, we stitched him up by putting this in the mag with him, basically showing he was riddled with disease. Remember in the first episode of all this sort of history before StavTech, I featured Paz's A86. Well, this is Paz's A86, but 3 years later. This one's much more serious. This one's more, wow, it's still traditional A86. 4 AGE on throttle bodies, but this time full cage, buckets, proper, I think, is it a running free body kit? It looks like it to me. Yeah, the run free body kit and all that, it makes it sort of look how A86s should look for me. Proper car. That got a K20 engine in the end, if I remember right. No, a S2000 engine, so a F20. The BR S15 demo car, that's the one that's twin charged, so SR20 with a turbo and a supercharger. It was meant to be like 400 brake at the time. Either way, it would have had a hell of a power band with a charger and a turbo like that. Older readers, older viewers, whatever, might remember this car. Well, the original Rayland Escort got wrote off on the Gumball Rally when they had a massive crash at, well, stupid speed, 2004. But this was the new one that, again, appeared 2007. That's what happened to the old one. This thing was like literally a fucking incredible build. Like mega spec. All done by Martin Hadland, who owns Rayland Motorsport. You know, he built the car. He's a bit of a Cosworth god. And interesting thing like this is this feature here, where we did it, was in an abandoned factory, and that was an interesting story. Basically, sort of a friend of a few of us at the magazine happened to be renting a house, and it was like a big house for very little money, and the sort of the part of the deal for owning this house is it was on the site of a massive old factory, like huge abandoned factory. And the reason they was renting it out was because if the factory was just an abandoned place, squatters and stuff can move in and it's hard to legally get rid of them. But if someone's living there, then you can, you know, if anyone comes on the property, the police have to turn up straight away. So basically they had them there as sort of an anti-squatter, anti-pikey, whatever you want thing. And they had free run of this factory, and it was massive. I mean, we tried to break the indoor speed record in Martin's car in the factory. That's how big it was. It was huge. And it had like multiple floors, and it was massive. And yeah, it was crazy. And yeah, there's some. The place had already been stripped pretty bare by the time the guy that lived there had moved in, and the insurance assessors had came round and basically said there was nothing left of value. But that wasn't strictly true. There was a lot left of value. It just didn't look like it really. And yeah, this aforementioned person made quite a lot of money getting rid of the extra stuff, which supposedly wasn't there, but there was a lot of things there worth a lot of money. In fact, even some, well, I dread to think how much, but it was, I'm pretty sure it's hundreds of thousands of pounds. But yeah, big, amazing place. Sort of, you know, like all this urbex shit everyone does these days. This place was like an urban explorer's dream, but long before urbex was even really a thing. That's the engine. Turbonetics T72. Like a carbon inlet plenum. Just, yeah, serious fucking car. It made 702 brake and 555 pound-foot of torque, and it made good power from like 3 grand all the way up to 8,500. It was hell of a car. That's the underside. And again, a bit like the Dalback car, there's not that much standard things going on there. I had a Skyline GTR OS Gicken 6-speed box and Skyline GTR adjustable torque split centre diff. That's how serious it was. Interior. That's a picture in that gigantic factory. It was big, that place. I mean, we took go-karts there and, you know, go-karted around it. We even took a few cars in there drifting around the bloody inside of the factory. That's how big that place was. It's long demolished now though. Yeah, I remember doing this feature in somewhere in London, and even where we met the owner of this car, it was like it looked like somewhere out of fucking layer cake or something. But yeah, the owner of this car, Dean, all the GTR owners at the time used to have a shit fit about this car, saying he'd ruined it, and used to literally slag him off on the internet 24/7. And he used to find it funny, but if they met him, I don't think anyone would fucking say shit, because while I don't know the exact details of Dean and his what they do, I mean, he just said it was a security company, but yeah, they were fucking, you would not want to mess with them, in my opinion. I've met some fucking dodgy and serious people over the years working for mags, and I don't think I'd have fucked about with Dean. No way. None of those people would have said boo to a goose to him in real life, but they was all on the internet giving it fucking stacks, saying about, you know, how much of a dickhead he is and ruined this car, even though they've never even met him. But he's a really nice guy, and the car was badass, to be fair. But yeah, owns a security firm, it says, but I don't know what kind of security firm it is, but yeah, he's fucking, no, you know when you got a bit of a vibe off somebody, and you know what it's like. Pretty badass car though. It was, personally, when it first came over from Japan, I don't think it was that great, but after he'd spent some money on it and stuff, because it got out to get rebuilt and stuff, it blew up. It's a pretty cool as hell car, really fast, faster than it ever was in Japan, and nicer looking. But all these bloody GTR forum dickheads used to try and slag him off. Pathetic, really. And yeah, that's it for 2007, and next video will be 2008, where again it gets a lot less fucking about and a lot more tuning, because, well, everybody likes tuning. That's kind of probably why you watch the StavTech videos anyway. But yeah, lots of stuff was still about to happen.